Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome to the breakdown live on a Sunday. But it's slightly different this week because it's a post-match reaction show as well, which is always good. I don't normally do the post-match reaction shows because I like to have a little think about it afterwards and stuff like that. Let it digest, as it were. But look, it is what it is. It's the end of the festive period, so everything's a bit all over the place. We don't know what day it is, but tomorrow, I suppose, is back to the norm, back to the usual. And it was the usual for Cardiff City at home, some would say, as it was 3 points, and it was possibly the most one-sided 1-0 you'll ever see. Don't think you'll see many more comfortable 1-0 victories. But look, we'll get into it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about individual performances. We'll talk about different stuff. We'll talk about different elements of the game. We'll talk about how dreadfully, disappointingly poor Wigan were. We'll talk about Cardiff being very impressive, controlling the fixture, creating a lot of chances again. 7 on the bounce at home, obviously fantastic. I know I was just speaking to Matt then, and like I was speaking to some people at the game, and people they seem to be concerned about the lack of goals or not putting teams away. I get that a lot, but I think on the other hand, I'd be more concerned if we weren't creating chances, and I think we're creating a lot of clear. We should have been out of sight really by half time, so I'm not particularly worried about that. I think. And this is only my personal opinion, I'd probably give Yusuf Salic a rest. I think he offers so much all round that he's such a good player. And I'm amazed that he's able to keep his head, the amount of ridiculous decisions that go against him. However, what I would say is he has missed a couple of chances that I would usually expect him to take in the last few games, probably the last 3-4 games, maybe, particularly the last 2. And usually he puts them away like they're stood up at a back post, this header, like that's his bread and butter. And I would have liked to have seen Isaac Davis get a chance through the middle today. I think the game was kind of made for him. His pace would have opened them up. But Wigan were dreadful. It was like they thought they were drawing and they were holding on to a draw. They never, ever really tried to push on. I think they had 2 shots that I can remember. They had that volley, which went over. And they had the one in the first half where there was a bit of a hesitation from our back 4. Trott made a good save. Apart from that, I don't remember them having a shot. They were dreadful, absolutely dreadful. You know, defensively, they were all right. They defended their box, as you'd expect. And I think ultimately, we have to accept teams are going to do this. They're going to try and just put 10 men behind the ball, keep a clean sheet, and then maybe nick something off a set piece or a break or anything like that. For me, in my personal opinion, I thought Cardiff were excellent today. I thought the second half, there was a bit of like disgruntlement around by me, like people were sort of saying, oh, we're just going side to side, back to back. But I thought we controlled the game so cleverly in the second half, whereby we just made Wigan chase the ball constantly. And then when that 80 minutes came up, which I think their plan would have been get to 80 minutes within sight of us and then try and pinch something. And they didn't have anything left in the tank because they'd been just chasing the ball all day. And the second half particularly, we just controlled it, controlled possession. We just made them work and made them run, constantly probing. Now, don't get me wrong. I thought in the second half, there was a couple of opportunities where we could have pulled the trigger in and around the box. But I also feel for the players in some ways because every time we get it within 35 yards of the goal, people want a screaming shoot. And it's just, realistically, it's a waste. However, as I also just said to Matt, what it can do is if you have a couple of long shots, particularly if they're on target, is it will make teams come out of their shape to try and stop you shooting. So that is another way to disrupt the team's shape and pull them out of position. So I think there's got to be a balance. I don't think we're a good team if we just chuck the ball in the box. I think that's when you look a bit desperate. So I'm glad that we stick to the patterns and we work teams and we work positions in the wide areas. I thought Willock, Bagan, and Robertson in particular in the second half absolutely tore apart that Wigan right-hand side, just time and time again, just dragging them out of position, getting in behind them, getting in little angled passes. And I just thought the movement was very good. I actually thought Callum Chambers, Chris Willock, and Alex Robertson today. Alex Robertson tired a little bit in the second half, but for the first sort of hour or so, I thought those three players, they just looked like a step above everything that Wigan had to offer in every way. And even, I thought Dylan Lawler was very good, but Callum Chambers was pretty faultless today, and obviously he scores a worldie. He had a sighter just before that in the first couple of minutes where he hits one on a volley, and that was going in. I think that was going in, and the keeper saves it. And apart from the chances that maybe we should have done better with, and you have got to be ruthless. And I think that is something important at Cardiff. The one thing that we need to find is a ruthless streak where we just put teams away in the first half an hour where we are dominant and we're creating chances. Amari Kerryman will be disappointed, I think, today that he didn't come away with a goal. He had 3 clear shots on goal, hit the target with 2, but, I think one of them we hit straight at the keeper. The first one, I think, is a good save. And then the final one where he's got the most time, he's sort of screwed it wide. But look, again, young players, they're learning all the time. And I think the likes of Chambers and Wintle are just leading the way and showing them the way to conduct themselves, the way to behave, the way to play, the way to react when you don't get a start. And when you do get your opportunity, you make a point. Because I think most people still think Will Fish, Dylan Lawler is the best centre-back pairing we have. But to me, on his recent performances, I'm just not sure you can drop Callum Chambers. And that's mad because I'm a massive fan of Will Fish. And if you listen to JT and them, I'm Dylan Lawler's agent. So, but I just think Callum Chambers has been excellent. And the thing with me for Callum Chambers, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, just for the sake of repeating myself. The thing for me with Callum Chambers is he took a lot of criticism last year, rightly, probably in some quarters, particularly when he played at centre-back. And at the start of this year, he was very poor. This season, he was very poor. And he got rightly dropped for Lawler and Fish. Didn't throw his toys out of pram, didn't demand a move before the summer window closed, didn't kick up a fuss, didn't give the old, I'm the captain, blah, 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 blah. He just got his head down, came back, proper professional. And I think since he's come back into the side after that sort of break from playing, I think he's just been really, really top draw. And I think when you've got such a young team, having the senior players behave like that and react like that, and then you've got the likes of Perry NG talking about how happy he is, regardless of whether he starts or he's on the bench, just how happy he is playing football for this manager and with this team. Ryan Wintle playing the best football of his career. Happy days as far as I'm concerned. Happy days. And yes, it could have been a cricket score, but ultimately you don't get any more points if you score 2 or 3 goals. You get 3 points. And that was the main thing for me. I said to my sons, both my sons, or 2 of my sons came with me today, and I said to both of them before the game, just 3 points is all that matters. Just get 3 points. Just get 3 points. But I'm interested in what you guys think. It's a weird one. We were so dominant, but 1-0 feels like there was some people moaning and stuff. I don't get it. But that's just, everyone's entitled to their opinion, I guess. But let's have a look at some of the comments anyway. Let's get in there early. I apologize. I'm shivering. I'm fucking freezing. But there we go. It was a cold one today when I had 2 coats on today. I had my away day apparel coat on. Shout out to them. Discount codes coming soon. And it's a very nice coat as well. And I had my coat on as well. And I had my away day apparel hat on as well because it was bastard freezing. And then my one son had just his Stone Island tracksuit on, and I was just how are you not cold? But he's all jacked, didn't he? And then the tall one, who's tall and skinny, and the older one just had a tracksuit top on as well. And I was how are you not cold? Must be my age. It's got to be. But anyway, such is life. Right, let's have a look at some of these comments, is it? Let's get into it. Gav, evening, mate. Says top of the league again. 7 wins at home in a row. Top draw, mate. Can't fault it. Jonathan says it wasn't a football match. It was attack v defense, mate. In my son's team, when we play attack versus defense, I think the defense give more going forward than what Wigan did. I'd be fuming if I was a Wigan. Actually, like, I did a little bit of research on them in the build-up for the preview, and they don't normally play that bad. And if I was them, I couldn't turn up and watch that each week. Like, every time they got a ball, they just hoofed it away. Half time didn't even try and win it, get it back. He was just giving the ball back to us to go again. But you've still got to break it down. And yes, we broke it down with a 30-yard screamer from Callum Chambers. But look, we could have created, we could have been 2-3-0, 3-0 up at half time. Like I said, Kellyman had 3 clear sights on goal. Salic had a couple of headers I thought he could have done a little tiny bit better with. There's a couple of corners which nearly just didn't quite drop. What else was there? I'm trying to think what other chances were. I think Robinson had a go in the second when he came on, and I felt for him. He was clearly desperate for a goal, Robbo. Could see like it was playing on his mind from the Wickham game. He put a post up apologising. It's just one of them things, and you can't hold a grudge, and he shouldn't. He's got to get it out of his mind and just crack on. Like, yes, it was a bad miss, but it's just part and parcel of football, isn't it? Dan Lowe says, Callum Chambers, one of the first names on a team sheet for me. Always been a fan, top pro and playing with confidence. He's so key to the way we build attacks, looking good defensively too. I think it's really interesting because I think as much as I understand and I like the balance of a Fish-Lawler partnership, I think they complement each other really well. I think when you've got Lawler and Chambers there and you've got 2 players who can genuinely break lines and create opportunities, it does open teams up. And when you're playing against the back 10, like today, you need the centre-backs comfortable enough to come. At one point in the first half, everyone was in the box and it was just Lawler was like in an inside right position. Chambers was on the inside left. And we had nobody else, because we just pinned them in. What I like about that combination, though, is Chambers, if he gets the ball, if there's 20 yards, 25 yards in front of him, he will drive into that space and he will take you up the pitch and then he'll look for a pass. Whereas Lawler tends to draw the press in and then break the lines with his passing. But I think both of them give you so much on the ball that it's a real key way to the way we're playing. And I actually think when you look at it now, in my opinion, Chambers, there's probably a discussion where you could say Chambers, Lawler and Fish are the best 3 centre-backs in the league and they all play for us. It's mad, isn't it? Like, I really genuinely believe in their different ways, they're real top draw, all 3 of them. But it's certainly encouraging. And I just, like I said, the way that Callum Chambers has conducted himself this season is top draw. I can't read that. Howlog says, absolutely dominant today. 82% possession is mental. They controlled everything well. If we could just get a ref with a clue or a keeper without a worldie, we'll destroy someone. Yeah, another keeper with another couple of incredible saves. The refs baffle me, mate, honestly. In the first half, I think it was Perry puts in a lovely, it might have been Winter actually, puts in a lovely curling cross to the back post. It's on Salic's head. He jumps up. He's like, this is it. And the defender, 2 hands in the sort of chest, neck area, facing him, not even looking at the ball, just pushes him so he can't head it. Nothing. And it's just like, that's not like battling for the ball. That's not 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. That's just 2 hands in the chest. It's bizarre, mate. And some of the decisions were just confusing today. Just yet again, poor refereeing. I thought like some of the things with them wasting time in the first half where the goalkeeper had it. He was going to take the goal kick. Then he threw it to the centre-back. He was going to take the goal kick. Then he picked it up and threw it back to the keeper and they went long. And it was like the ref should be doing like clamping down on that early doors because it's embarrassing if I'm honest. Like it's just a poor way to play and conduct yourself. But anyway. Reese, evening mate, says we were there. We left there tonight, absolutely confused how we didn't win by a bigger margin. Wigan was so poor. Honestly, I cannot believe how dominant we were. Chambers was absolutely outstanding. He absolutely was, mate. And do you know what else, right? You know, when Burton came to our place and they get a 1-0, at least with them, they stuck 10 men behind the ball. They had a game plan. And then what they did is they still tried to hit us in the channels when they did get the ball. And then they try and work off set pieces and corners and pinch them in. And to their credit, they did. Wigan didn't even do that. That they had no interest in trying to build, trying to attack. It was weird. It was a weird performance. And if I was a Wigan fan who's travelled all that way, and there wasn't loads of them by any means, but like those fans that travelled all that way to be served up that shower of shite is rather them than me, you know. But here we go. Gavin says that Cara boy only in the team due to his father's name. Poor player, and he won't get anywhere near our team. But mate, I'm not sure many of the centre-backs and defenders in this league would get anywhere near our starting 11. Like, I genuinely look at the quality in our defensive areas. The 3 centre-backs I mentioned. Then you've got Kipakio, who's now a Welsh international. Perry NG, who's proven championship level. You know, at one point a few years ago was the best right-back or in amongst the best right-backs in the championship alongside Walker Peters. And then on the other side, you've got Joel Bagan, who in my opinion has just been easily the best left-back in the league, but probably got in with a shout of being the most consistent player in the league. Just been outstanding. And then, you know, you've got Gabe Oshu, who has done it before in the championship and elsewhere. We haven't probably seen the best of him yet, but he was very good against Wickham. Like, it's a real strong defensive unit. You know, yes, we need a left-back to back up Bagan, but gee, it's a lot of quality in those positions. And then you've got Nathan Trott behind him, who's absolute, like, nowhere near League One quality in a good way. Like, I think he's at least a lower league Premier League keeper, if not better than that. But Ryan Wintle, the same. Like, Ryan Wintle in front of him being the sort of the shield. I worry for Bagan and Wintle. Like, they need a break. And at least we've got, like, I think it's 3 free midweeks now, or 2 free midweeks. So at least they can get like a little bit of a break in between games. Obviously, we've got traveling to do, but impressive performances, you know. Gav also says, any truth in Robbo going to Oxford in January transfer window? So we're going to have the Rumour Mill podcast on the members section Tuesday morning. I've already got one exclusive on there, which will give a lot of detail and a bit of other bits and pieces. All I could say is, mate, is that the overarching message that I have got is that nobody who we want to keep is for sale at any price in the January window. But there is stuff that we'll get into on Tuesday, without a doubt. Reese says, must have been the excitement of bumping into half of the 1927 club earlier that day that really got the boys up for this game. Absolutely, mate. I'm surprised they didn't ask you for a photo. Howlog78 says, also, I took my 79-year-old father today for his birthday, and the lads made his day. He watched City since he was 5 years old, and he was a very proud bloke. Happy birthday, Ron. Indeed, happy birthday, Ron. 3 points on your birthday is the best feeling. And here's to many more, mate. I love stuff like that. I love stories like that. There was a family just to the right of me today. It was a grandfather who was taking his grandson for the first time. Little lad, probably only about, 5 or 6. Had like a blue and white scarf, and he had a top with a player's name on, and his granddad was like telling him, what's going on and whatever. Love it. Absolutely love it. Gav says, only 2 teams we played this season are Wigan and Stevenage, won all 4. Oh, right, yeah. The only teams we've played twice. Sorry, I misread that. Only 2 teams we've played twice this season are Wigan and Stevenage, and we've won all 4. Yeah, mate. I think I've kind of been quite consistent this week, but I'll say it again, in that if we have our tempo right, I think teams will struggle. We've got too much quality, ultimately, whether it's off the bench or in the starting 11. And I believe that if we can keep the tempo at the right sort of level, and what I think Brian Barry Murphy does do really, really well is he has rotated the squad over the December period and the festive period really well. Really, really well. And I think that's difficult to do sometimes, keeping everyone happy, but keeping everyone fit. And as far as I know, we haven't got any like major injuries. Obviously, Ruben to come back at the end of this month. And, you know, obviously Bagan had a little rest, didn't he, for a couple of games. Robbo had a rest. Some of the other, Isaac and that, and Joel had a rest today. So it's all part of keeping them fresh and ready to go, because they will be needed. And they're all, what I like is when they're coming in, no matter who it is, when they come in, they're doing a good job. And that's ultimately all you can do. John says no other, BBM said no other deals close in or out other than deciding the best place to send Mafiko and Nayakahawa to get some game time on loan. Yeah, indeed. Gav says 13 wins gets us 90 points, and that gets us up 22 games to play. There we go, mates. JT says the fans booing and getting worked up when you're winning 1-0 in the second half don't deserve to see success. I don't know about that, but mate, I do not get it. Like, I don't understand it. Like, and then sometimes, how can I put this? Like, sometimes I listen to people's comments like around me and stuff, and listening to people talking during the game, and I wonder, you know, you can't criticize people too much, but like, how much they understand like what we're trying to do and why we're doing certain things. Like, there was a lot of like chuck it in the box and shoot and this and that. And I get it. Like, we do need to shoot sometimes and pull the trigger, but like, we absolutely controlled that second half, and we just destroyed Wigan's belief, their confidence, their bodies. They were so fatigued by the end of that game. Like, they were out on their feet. They had nothing left to give. And that was just because they spent the whole day chasing the ball, because we just kept moving them side to side, through, up, back, through, rounds. It was beautiful to see. And I thought it was I thought as dominant as the performance was, I thought it was a really, really mature second half performance. Because, you know, you go throwing people forward and stuff like that to try and get the second goal. Of course, you know, we all wanted to see the second goal. But if you throw a load of people forward and you go ballistic and then you get caught on the break, you look stupid. Like, you're winning the football match. It's on Wigan to try and come out and get an equaliser. If they don't want to come out and get an equaliser and they want to sit in, then just look after the ball. And we did that really, really well. JT also added Oxford couldn't afford Robertson socks. No way we're selling Alex Robertson. I can tell you that in January. You know, all these players will have a price, but I don't think they'll have a price until the summer. I just don't see it. And that's why I've been told that they're not for sale. And like, why would you, like, just using Alex Robertson as an example, you're top of the league. He's getting up to full. He played his first, I think, 90 minutes today. He's getting up to speed. He adds so much to this team on and off the ball. Why would you then sell him and undermine everything which this manager's building? It makes no sense. But people love a rumor, don't they? I can't talk, like, but like, what I will do is I will tell you the truth of what I've heard. I'm not going to jazz it up one way or the other. We'll say what it is, and that's what it is. And I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you want clickbait and rumors and bullshit, you're probably in the wrong place. Like, but if you want analysis of the games, bit of banter and a bit of chatting and good community, then this is the place for you. You want to talk about Cardiff City 7 days a week, this is definitely the place for you. Reese says goal difference could be big, can be a big thing come the end of the season. Yeah, that I agree with. And ultimately, mate, as well, is I think if we find now like that clinical, that ruthless streak, I genuinely believe that we'll start to open up a gap, because without sounding arrogant, and of course this can come and bite me on the backside, I understand that, but I just think we're a level above in terms of quality individually and collectively. I think we've got the best manager. I think we've got the best young side, and we've got a group of players a good group of players who are probably too good for League One, but they're all not of the mindset that they're too good for League One, in terms of they want to work and they want to fight and they want to battle, and they're all up for the scrap. Even Amari Kellyman today, he had his boots stepped on during the corner and he wasn't happy. And then their defender went down with a shoulder injury. I think it was Carragher, actually. And as they're walking off the pitch, all the other players are getting a drink, and he's arguing with the bloke who stood on the back of his shoe. Like, he is brought right into it. And he's loving the physical challenge of it and the battle of it. And I love to see that, because, he's come in from Chelsea. Could be a young player who thinks he's made it already, could be giving it the big I am, and nothing could be further from the truth. He's an incredibly skillful and technically gifted footballer who I don't think we've seen the best of yet, but we've certainly seen glimpses of it. But what I like the most is that he is bought into Cardiff City and he is fully committed to the cause. And I think those are the lone players you fall in love with, isn't it? At the end of the day. Andrew says, why would anyone moan when we're top of the league, playing good football? Just enjoy it and be proud to be a Bluebird. I know, right? Especially when, we've been top of the league before. Like, we've been top of the championship under Malky and the Neil Warnock. And with the greatest of respect to those two guys who got us promoted at different times, and particularly, they both brought the fans and the club together at difficult times as well. Like, the football is night and day under them and what we're watching now. Like, it's enjoyable to watch. Even when we're poor, we're enjoyable to watch. So, I don't know. Sometimes I think you just can't, you're never going to keep people happy. Like, people just want something to moan at, and that's fine. Whatever makes you happy, innit? Gav says, I'd give Isaac a go up front. Yeah, and maybe maybe there's a good thing that, or maybe there's an opportunity where you play a certain team, who I don't know who that would be, maybe a team which plays three at the back, where you could go with Salic and Isaac up front. And I think that could work really well, just Isaac's pace. And as long as Isaac gambles for like flick-ons and touches through, I think it could be really, really exciting. Jeff makes a great point. He says, in the added time, I don't think Wigan touched the ball. I could not believe they stuck to a low block the whole game. Yeah, and that's another thing, right? We had 3 minutes of the 4 minutes of injury time. We sort of get the ball. Callum Robertson's got it on the halfway line. He thinks about sort of going on an attacking break, and then he turns back and keeps hold of the ball. And there was a few people by me who sort of moaning and groaning like it was 0-0. And it was like, well, of course he's going to keep hold of the ball. There's 30 seconds left. Why would you give them an opportunity to, to get something on the break? I don't know. It's a weird one, isn't it? Dan says, glad that we're now starting to see the best of Alex Robertson as well. Another one who was perceived to be sulking, likely wanted to leave, but he has added a different dimension to the midfield. 100%, mate. And again, not to blow my own trumpet, but I was pretty consistent with that. And I'd add it from as close to the person as possible and within the group. That he was never sulking. There was never an issue. But people want to start rumors, or they want to get clicks or whatever for their social media or whatever it is. And look, fair enough to them. If that's how they want to build their profiles up, that's up to them. I just think if you build your social media or your profile or your business or whatever it is on bullshit, you get found out pretty quickly, and that's not what we're about here. But on Alex Robertson, he's a quality footballer, mate, and he's an all-round midfield footballer. And I think put it this way, Joel Colwell has been excellent this year. David Turnbull's playing the best football he's ever played in a Cardiff City shirt this year. And Alex Robertson is getting the nod in front of both. and deservedly so as well, because I think not only has he individually been very good and got better with each game, I think he gives a bit of aggression. It gives a bit of physicality, which the other two probably maybe don't yet. I think Joel will, as he gets older and fills out a little bit and stuff. Joel's obviously still learning. But he also is the tempo and the control he brings. You watch him play, like he passes the ball and then he moves to get it back every time, whether it's a run to break lines and get him behind, like when he scored the other week, or whether it's just like a quick 1-2 to change the picture. He's a very, very clever footballer. And he's, another one who's very young. And these are the players we should be building this side around. Like for me, if it was up to me and I was a billionaire and I was able to tie them all down, like I'd be building the side around Trott, Lawler, Robertson, Ruben, all these young players. Like I'd be building the side around them for years to come. I understand football don't work like that, and I understand that everyone's got a price at some point. But I just hope that we can hold on to them long enough to get as far as we can go, and then hopefully we'll have some more young players coming through and some new signings to replace them. But quality footballers, and I think sometimes you've got to appreciate what you've got. And I look at like the likes of Alex, I look at Dylan Lawler, Ruben maybe to a lesser extent, and I think just appreciate them while they're here and they're wearing a Bluebirds shirt and they genuinely care about it and they're fighting for it whilst playing incredible football. Like Dylan Lawler today, there was a point where the ball dropped down and it was like on their left wing, and it was a really, really awkward one. And he kind of tried to bring it down under pressure, and he was the last man as well. And he tried to bring it down and he sort of shinned it, and he still then got it under control, flicked it back inside, and went about his business. And just incredible. I think his family was sat by me as well, but like they were he was very, very good again. But it's just Callum Chambers was so good that Dylan just looked like he just did his job. But Dylan was excellent as well. Really enjoy their partnership. And that's interesting in itself, because at the start of the season, those two together were a little bit shaky, maybe, in some of the cup competition. One of the cup games, I think it was. Martin, evening, my friend, says biggest thing for me with Chambers Lawler partnership is Dylan doesn't have to switch to the left like he does when he's alongside Fish. Yeah, I think that's definitely a big plus, but I also think Fish and Lawler complement each other so well, and ultimately, like, having three exceptional centre backs for this league is good, because the chances that all three of them will stay fit for the whole season is slim. Whether it's suspensions or injuries, they're going to have to rotate. And, look at what the manager's done over this December busy period. He's rotated, kept everyone sharp, interested, and winning football matches, which is obviously the main thing. Dan says, we totaled 736 passes today. Wigan totaled 166. It's a ridiculous statistic for an elite level football. Must be one of the most dominant displays from any EFL side, stats-wise, all season. Wouldn't be surprised, mate, at all. It is like genuinely about as one-sided as you will see, isn't it? Happy New Year, Jeff, and welcome back, mate. I haven't seen you for a bit, so it's good to see you back in the live chats. Dan also adds, I've been shocked by how poor the quality in League One is. I haven't been impressed with many sides at all, apart from Bradford and Leyton Orient, really. We're the best side by some distance. I agree with that, mate. I thought Bolton were pretty good. I wasn't actually that impressed with Bradford. I just thought we were very sloppy that day. I'm not saying they were bad or anything. I didn't think they were amazing. I thought Bolton played some good stuff at times, and defensively, I thought they were excellent, Bolton. But they had something going forward as well. Whereas like Stevenage, excellent defensively, but absolutely nothing in the attacking sense. One of the teams I think who played the best type like football was Doncaster. Doncaster were excellent, and I'm shocked that where they are. But how much of these teams do they like up their game against Cardiff, because it's a big game, it's the big fixture for them, and then they up their game against us, look good, and then they're not able to take that into their other fixtures. The thing, not so much the quality of League One that shocked me, mate. The standard of refereeing is absolutely abhorrent. Honestly, I can't get my head around it at all. Like, really struggling with it. Like, Yusuf Salic gets assaulted every game, and he never gets nothing. Never gets a free kick or anything. It's absolutely outrageous. Jonathan says Bolton played some good stuff as well, just very inconsistent. Yeah, I think they drew today, didn't they? David says our fans need to remember last season and get behind this team. I'd like to see a few more shots, but we're miles ahead of where we were at the end of last season. It's like night and day, David. And the thing is, right, is it's not just the quality of football that is enjoyable to watch, but it's also the execution. We have a plan. We have, like, if you watch us, we have repeatable patterns of play. You could see that the team is like well drilled, well coached from a defensive and an offensive point of view. Whereas in recent years, I've watched us and I've thought, what have we been doing all week? Like, we look like we haven't had a coaching session. And that's no disrespect to those players or the managers or whatever. It's just we haven't looked good. This season, from the Peterborough game onwards, we have looked good. And even when we've looked bad, there's been periods in the games where we've looked good. Like even that Blackpool game, where the second half we fell apart, we were dreadful. And I think that's the one game where I thought the manager got it a bit wrong in the second half. In the first half, we should have put them to bed. And in the second half, we still had chances before they hit us on the break. So even when we've been bad, we've been better than last year. Excuse me while I have a drink. A lot of talking. Matthew says, Si, what do you think we need to start doing to put teams away? It's nice we're dominating teams and winning, but I feel as if it's going to bite us on the arse soon with not being clinical. So, like I said at the start, mate, honestly, I would be more concerned if we weren't creating clear-cut chances. Like, we created a lot of chances today again. And I understand, look, Wickham bit us on the arse where we didn't take our chances. And I think that's got to be the message, is you have to take your chances. And today, we didn't take our chances, but Callum Chambers scores a screamer with a bit of individual brilliance. If he doesn't score that screamer, do Wigan come away with a point and, we're ruining missed chances again? I tend to think not, because I tend to think we'd have played the second half very differently. But I do accept what you're saying. And I think I said it was either the preview or the 5 things from the Wickham game, is if we find a ruthless streak, I think this league is going to be in for a bit of a shock at the moment, because the quality of player that we got and the quality of football that we're playing, if we find a ruthless streak and Robbo or Salic go on another little streak of 5 and 5 or whatever, could be in for a fun time, like as fans. And I also think this is my thing with January, is I'd love to see us make a bit of a statement signing, like I don't know, a championship midfielder or a championship winger, or like someone who's like, people are like, oh, how have they got him? And kind of make the league take notice and be sort of like, oh, they're top of the league already and they've just brought in so-and-so. Now, with the midfielder who won't be named, would he be a good shout for that? I think he would, but I believe he's playing for Hull again now. So I haven't heard his name, so I don't think that's a goer by any means, but obviously his name was in the mix in the summer. Graham says, insane booing in injury time. Keep the ball, 3 points. Yeah, it was mad, wasn't it? He also says, it was like a light training session today. Yeah, and look, the other side of it is, right, after the month we've just had of, what was it? 11 games in 37 days, I think we've played. That second half probably did the players a world of good, not having to like battle for every ball and really grind it out. They just had to keep the ball well, and they did that by and large. So that's a good thing for the fitness and the fatigue and the bumps and the bruises. We didn't even make all our subs today, which is first time in a while we haven't brought in a load of subs. I think we made 3 in total. Yeah, we brought Fish, Robinson, and Tanner on. Tanner gets more minutes than the legs. Alex Robertson's had 90 minutes for the first time in a while. Robbo's back on the pitch again, looked dangerous. Will Fish back in, won some good headers. It's lots of positives. Howlog 78 says something that stood out today is how close the fullback and the winger get to each other when the ball's on the other side. Times Ashford and NG are like 4 yards apart. Yeah, defenders are overloaded, and that was the one thing I would have liked to have seen us do. And BBM was going nuts for it in the first half, and he was trying to get Chambers to switch it over to Ashford quicker, but we kept going Chambers, Wintle, Lawler, out to NG, to Kean, and then they've got their players across because so much Ashford and NG had 2-on-1 almost all times. But for whatever reason, we weren't looking for that switch. I know that Will Fish does that switch a lot, but Callum Chambers did it a lot. In the second half, he did it a few times out to Kean, but in the first half, I think it was really there to utilise, but it is. Reese says the atmosphere was poor again today. We're at the back of the canton, and as a joke, soon as it hits 69 minutes, we now do a cheer. 69, yeah. I don't know what to tell you about the atmosphere, mate. I don't know why it's what it is. In some ways, I think success almost breeds a bit of apathy. People turn up just expecting to win, and it takes a bit of the edge off the atmosphere. It's unfortunate because these players deserve the backing, I think, because their performance to date, 4th of January, top of the league, young team, doing very, very well, playing good football. And there's a long way to go. It's not done and dusted. We're not promoted. We're not winning one fuck all at the moment. And, if we don't do anything, if we don't do the right things for the next 20 odd games, then we've got no divine right to be promoted. And these players need the fans behind them at all times. Just my 2 pence. Anyway, Dan says, I was sat in the Ninian, people shouting, get forward. Rowe at one point signaled 1-0 to the stand. Some people do need to relax and understand what we're trying to do. Yeah, I do think it's a bit of lack of understanding in some cases. And, of course, the second goal kills it off, doesn't it? And it just gives you a bit of breathing room. So I do get it. I said to my son at halftime, going to need a second goal here just to make sure. But the way we managed the second half, we didn't. And I thought we were excellent in the second half in a different way to what we've seen perhaps at different times this season. A clean sheet. Loving that. I'm all about the clean sheets because I tell you what did someone say? 22 league games to go. If we keep, 8 to 10 clean sheets out of those 22 games, probably going up, aren't we? So clean sheets are massive. And we're creating chances. So you keep a clean sheet, there's a very good chance you're winning the football match. Dan says, by the way, does anyone know the Alex Robertson chant that was attempted to be started? David says, Wigan lacked ambition, typified by number 11, Costello, meant to be their best player. And all he wanted to do was leave one on Wintle or Robertson, try to wind them up. Reverted to rugby tackles in the second half. Yeah, they were poor, mate. You could see that they targeted Robertson a little bit in the first half, trying to get a reaction out of him, whether that was off the back of that Wickham game where he got booked early and they thought he might be someone they could get at, but he just laughed it off. Good for him. Sue's welcome. How are you? Happy New Year. She says, we won't sell. We want to bring a lot in. BBM has always made no secret of this and why upset the apple cart. We're good enough. All we need is some relief for Bagan. I'd argue we could do with a bit of relief for Wintle as well, but I think Wintle's slightly different because you do have other options there. In a worst case scenario, you could put Chambers in there, couldn't you? Like worst case. Whereas Bagan, especially with Louis and Will Spears going out on loan to Eastleigh, like we have no left backs now. And as much as I know Perry and I know Kipakiao can play there, I would like to see us get a left back in who's a left back, just to give Joel a bit of a break. Yeah, now, Jonathan, I agree with that. With our record of holding leads, he says, I can understand why the stands are on edge. At 1-0, to be honest, it's still dangerous scoreline to see out. And we're used to crumbling. Yeah, there is that. But I thought we were so good at controlling the game in the second half. And it's not so much, like 20 minutes into the second half when we're on the edge of the box and we could probably get a shot off. Or I understand that. But it was like late on when there was like 30 seconds left of injury time and we're 1-0 up. They look like they don't even want to be here. We don't need to take any risks. Just look after the ball and you win the game. Like basically keep the ball for a minute and the game's over. So it's a weird one, mate. Like, I don't know. It's cold in it and everyone's entitled to an opinion at the end of the day. And, as good as we've been, we haven't been perfect. We've made mistakes. We're still learning. And love that. Yeah, and Suze, that was my favourite part of the day. BBM's response to links to other jobs. Brian Barry Murphy simply replied, I love Cardiff. Fucking come on. Me and you both, pal. I just love him. He's a great man. God, I think I got a bit of a crush on the BBM, Jeff De La Cruz says it's now looking between 3 for the automatic promotions and we're the clear favourites of the 3. And I think we could open a gap up, mate, if we can keep churning it out. If we can just churn out, because I think the teams around us, like someone mentioned earlier, Bolton are quite inconsistent. Bradford have dropped points recently. Lincoln are flying, but they will. That run will come to an end at some point, although they're a good side. So if we can just keep winning, keep churning out results, keep up this home record, I think we'll be all right. And then we can maybe hopefully open up a bit of a gap. But we have to be prepared that we might end up going to the final weeks, and it might go to squeaky bum time where we've got to go. It might be 2 or 3 points in it, and there's 3 games left. Part of football, part of elite sport. Evening, mate. Bandonera, Barnsley fan. How are you, mate? Happy New Year. Vincent Taylor says, best team in the league. Great performance. And again, going close. Could have been more. Yeah, on another day, it was a comfortable one. No, you're in the wrong place for transfers, mate. We won't sell anyone. Never. Everyone's been locked away. Yeah, I hope. I feel for sides like who are building something coming into January, and then for their owners just sell their best players off. Like, just leave it to the summer, innit? Leave it, like, it's so disruptive to lose players. And I don't think it'll be the case for Cardiff. I really believe that. I believe that no one's for sale in January. But like for some other clubs, the owners will sell, and not just in League One, Championship, League Two, Premier League, wherever. You're building something, and you go into Christmas. You have a good Christmas period, and you're thinking, if I can get 1 or 2 in, we can kick on you. And then the owners just sell off 2 or 3 of your most vital players, and you're just back to square one. It's difficult, isn't it? Sue says when Salic come off the post at the end to receive short corner, I made my way upstairs. Job done. More than happy. 3 points in the bag. Yeah, that's it. 100%. Reese says it might be the first time I strongly consider the end of season awards evening. Can Cardiff City World get a table? Sorry. I don't know, mate. Of course we could. Couldn't do anything we want. Put our minds to it. Evan says, evening, so I hope you're feeling better. 1-0 today was all we could do when Wigan played 10 at the back. More chance of Wigan putting it in their own net. A Ryan Lowe masterclass. It's weird, isn't it? Because I don't think that's the way Ryan Lowe wants to play. Do you think, here's a question then to finish, right? There's 10 minutes to go. Do you think Ryan Lowe gave us too much respect in the way he set up? Because I don't believe that's the way he likes to play football. Let's have a look. They did almost put it in their own net a couple of times, in fairness. Sue says, Chambers again, brilliant. He again showed what BBM knew he would bring when others questioned BBM's logic. I called his goal before he scored, said it, two of those around me, Chambers will score. Yeah, he nearly did it with a volley, and that would have been an absolute screamer. Bradford took us apart, but we had chances in that game, Graham, as well, though. You know, before they scored, we had chances. After they scored, we had chances. We were very, very poor that day. And as I said, I'm not saying they're not good. I don't think they're the best team we've played. But they were very good on that day. Thought Lincoln looking good. I just don't understand what Ryan Lowe was trying to do today, really. But yeah, like as PG says, teams need to be careful now because teams will, it's going to be their cup final. They're going to, they're going to be up for it. And I think that there's been an element of that already. I think, I also believe that, as I said earlier, I agree with you. We have to be ruthless because we're creating clear-cut chances. We have to start taking them. Because you will bite you on the arse. It bit us on the arse against Wickham, if we're honest. And, today we had chances. It's 1-0. Yes, it's a very comfortable 1-0. But you got to put teams away. And, we got Bradford, we got Stockport. Got some tough games coming up. And if you can come out with those with some victories, and then you're really cooking, aren't you? But, Lincoln are going to try and keep up the pressure on us as well. The refs, I can't even get into it anymore with the refs, but a few of you were discussing the refs. Jonathan says, we get it with the refs every week. The amount of players hanging off Salic's shirt or trying to throw him to the floor, you'd think it was WWE, not football, and the refs give nothing. Yeah, it's bizarre. And the refs will always say, like, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And then Salic will, like, graze their shirt, chase him back, and he gives a free kick. Happened today, like Keane Ashford got absolutely wiped out by a late sliding tackle, and he played the advantage. He was right to play the advantage, but he brought it back and spoke to the player, and he didn't book him. And I was like, if that's not a reckless challenge, I just don't know what is. But these referees, the same every single week. Absolutely terrible. The only ref I can remember that had a decent day, was it Huddersfield? I forget. I think it was Huddersfield. We had a good ref. That's the one in the whole season. Dan says Molyneux, the winger from Doncaster, is the one I'd like to sign if he was available. Wouldn't be against Cairo Lisby either. Just think we need to look at the championship quality with eyes on next season. Yeah, you've got to, mate. Obviously, it depends on if they're loans or permanent deals. I think if you're signing anyone permanent now, you have to have one eye on the championship next year with the idea that you're going to get there. You have to. That's the way to responsibly run a business, isn't it? Andrew says, if you're 1-0 up in injury time, why would you want to attack anyone, risk losing the ball and being hit on the break and conceding an equaliser? Yeah, that's what we've been saying, mate. It's mad, isn't it? Absolutely mad. Jeff says, we'll start to hammer sides when the warmer weather arrives. The pitch will improve, grass will grow, and the speed of the passes will be faster. More difficult to play our style in the cold weather. Yeah, probably an element of that, mate. I just also think we'll get into a rhythm of spanking teams. Hopefully sooner than later, if I'm honest. Yeah. Badanade says, have you noticed how many players can't take throw-ins properly? Yeah, it's mad, mate. Seen a lot of foul throws this year. Sue says, Chambers has been simply brilliant. BBM proving again, those who question him, got it right. They got it wrong. I called his goal out, and yeah, it's a hell of a shot. I wish the volley had gone in. I'd have lost my head. Dan says, one very noticeable thing is how we seem very much favour attacking down the side of Bagan and Willock. Very rarely do we look to NG side. Must be to do with creating an overload, maybe. Yeah, but it also because NG tends to, when the ball goes down the left-hand side, NG tucks in just in case we lose the ball and it breaks down. That's why you'll quite often see NG or Ashford as the kind of covering players in a transition, because they tend to tuck in, although obviously Ashford doesn't tuck in too much. He stays wide, but NG does. I think another thing on Brian Barry Murphy's management, by the way, I think Chris Willock, again now in the last few games, has looked confident, aggressive. I think he looks like a player again, because I thought he was really good. Then he sort of went off the boil a little bit and he looked a bit like the Willock of last year. And then all of a sudden now he looks really confident and sharp. And he's a real player because he can go both ways. Gav says, Si, we need the fans. We need fans at the away end to get the atmosphere better. Yeah, maybe behind the away end. Yeah, I think it always makes it better, doesn't it, when the away fans are close to the loudest home fans, because it creates a bit of back and forth. Then I think that tells you everything you need to know. Halftime oranges, passes completed. Callum Chambers 126. Entire Wigan Athletic side 100. But then you don't get points for passes. You get points for goals and winning. So, yeah. And Ian makes a great point. He says, despite the atmosphere, at least I'm no longer dreading going to the CCS. Yeah. It's just nice to see some wins, mate, after the last couple of years. Jonathan says, did the club give you a finder's fee for BBM after Si? They didn't, mate. They should have, shouldn't they? Really? Disgraceful. No, it's got fuck all to do with me, mate, and much more to do with his interview and how good a manager and person he is. He's an impressive individual. So, and he's another one, like I said about Dylan, Alex Robertson, people like this. Just enjoy him while he's here, because I have no idea how long he'll be with us, but I'd be shocked if he's still here in 10 years' time. Like, I hope he is, because that'll mean that he's built a dynasty. But I tend to think not. Who knows? Gavin says, as it stands, we are 12 points off fourth place in the league. Yeah, that's a nice little gap. Ian says, anywhere from 2 to 6 points would be outstanding from our next two away games. Very difficult games. Yeah, whilst I tend to agree, like I do tend to agree, but equally, I just think we're capable of beating anyone in this league if our tempo and our application is right. I just think we've got the quality to beat teams, even the teams around us. Like JT says, we're in a mini league with Bradford and Lincoln. No one's going to catch up at 12 points behind. I tend to agree, but if you're anything like my age, mate, you'll have seen teams over the years make up 12 points or more between Christmas and the end of the season. So I think, whilst I tend to lean towards that as well, 12 points is a nice cushion. Equally, is anything can happen, can't it, in an elite sport, I guess. Reese David Evans says, I think he will set up to play counter-attack football. I think he set up to play counter-attack football and saw pretty early on our defense and midfield pressed so well, we just swamped them, won the ball back and recycled it so quick they thought twice. Possibly. Jonathan says, Ryan Lowe just wanted damage limitation. He knew Cardiff were the best side in the league, and down the bottom end of the table, goal difference can make a difference. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, Ian says Ollie Tanner showing crossing we've been missing for the last few months. I think the difference with him is he whips it in, doesn't he? Whilst I do think Willock and Ashford in particular can sometimes pick a pass and pick crosses out, whether it's standing it up to the back post or a pullback. Tanner tends to get on his left foot and he whips it in. And when you whip it in, particularly if he's on the right and you whip it in with pace, it can really, if you aim for that sort of back post area, it's so difficult to defend. Yeah, Sue says I was surprised they went goal down and they just didn't come at us. Maybe they simply we just didn't let them. Yeah, I think there's probably an element of that. They spent the whole day chasing the ball, Susan. I was surprised that they didn't open up a little bit. But maybe, like you say, maybe they just weren't able to. I think they tried to frustrate us a little bit, but in the second half, we flipped the table on them and we just made them chase the ball. It is mad, though, that they just didn't press in the second half. Like, they're losing 1-0, and there's about 10 minutes to go, and Alex Robertson stood on the edge of our box with his foot on the ball, and they didn't press. They just left him there, and then the striker sort of walked towards him, and he pops it off to the side. But, like, it was that lack of intensity and that lack of pressing. Just they didn't seem interested in trying to get at us at all. And like Sue said, and like I just said, maybe it was just a case of we were too good and we kept the ball so well they just couldn't get it and they were just chasing the ball like a dog. Ian said if Willock had legs, he'd be the best player in the league. On current form, for sure, mate. He's definitely got ability, and I think at the moment he looks confident. I think the goal at Wickham helps. He's such a talented individual. And that's why I was getting frustrated with him earlier in the season, because I can see it and I see what he's capable of. And I just want him to be at it. And I want him to want it, because I think he's a player who could, like you say, he could be the best player in the league. Got a few of them, mind, in fairness. Leyton Orient, Bradford and Stockport are the next 3 games. Very difficult games. What would you take from that? So let me ask you double-sworded question to finish. What would you be happy with return points for those 3 games? And what do you think we will get from those 3 games? And whilst you let me know your answers to that, I will tell you what's coming up on the channel this week. So tomorrow night, we've got the Cardiff City phone-in. Tomorrow lunchtime, we've got 5 things we learned from today's game with myself. We have a video on XG, especially for Jonathan Mordecai. We have a couple of other bits and pieces. Evan's doing some stuff Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday, I'm hoping to have a special guest on Join Me Live, ex-player. Cardiff City, 7 days a week. Got a scout report coming this way. And don't forget, members only, Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock-ish, will be the first episode of the Rumour Mill of 2026. And we've already got a nice little exclusive in there as well. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's effectively as I speak to a variety of people who I know at the club and in media and all these different places. And I find out what they're hearing, what's going on. I put it all together and I just let you guys know. But like I said before, at the end of the day, I'm not going to make stuff up. I'm not going to clickbait you, and I'm not going to do all that stuff. I'm not going to bullshit, because ultimately I'm a Cardiff City fan, and I want what's best for Cardiff City and its fans. So why would I want to bullshit people? It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, we also got part 2 of the Sean Morrison evening. We got the 2 parts of the Graham Kavanagh evening coming as well. The Graham Kavanagh one is just so good. So good. He's so much time for him. He's a real good guy. I'm hoping by the end of January, we'll be able to announce another or next City Legends event as well. And hopefully by the end of January, I'll be able to reveal some stuff that I've been sitting on regarding what we've got going on. I've been sitting on it. It feels like forever, but I think I've been sitting on this since November. But it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. There's some big stuff coming this year on the channel and across Ace Nation Media and stuff like that. So please do make sure you're subscribed to Cardiff City World YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to Ace Nation Media and Ace Podcast Nation and all that. And my personal socials as well, like on Twitter and Facebook. And then you won't miss a thing. But indeed, we've got a lot of stuff coming up, including inside the EFL. That is going to be like something I would argue, it's never been done by an independent person, company before, in terms of what it is, the level of it, and everything in between. But we shall see. Looking forward to it, though, and I think you guys will enjoy it. As always, if you're a member, thank you so much. You allow us to create content 7 days a week and do all of the cool stuff we do, like traveling to speak to Dave Jones, which I did just before Christmas, which was a great deal of fun. If you haven't watched that, then check it out. It's a really interesting interview and a really interesting look at his time as Cardiff City manager and some of the things that he faced away from the pitch, which made it very difficult to do his job. Some of the comical things that happened during that time as well. Talked about signing players like Robbie Fowler and Hasselbank and working with Jason Kumar. There's some real funny moments. He's a funny guy. I was pleasantly surprised by Dave Jones, I've got to say. But yeah, all good. Jeff says, I'd be happy with 7 points, 9 points ecstatic. Go on. I back us all the way. My one wish for 2026 is that this is only year 1 of 10 as Brian Barry Murphy builds a dynasty at Cardiff. Now, I understand it's not realistic, but I can hope. Keep the faith, my friends. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the morning for 5 things in a bit. This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/Ace Podcast Nation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.